now watching the captain.
Hello, everybody. I'm Captain Diesel, and
You're now watching the captain.
James the Blur here. Glad to be here, sir.
I got James in the building. Guys, we are here to discuss something very passionate to my heart. Again, I try to only make content about things that I really enjoy with a passion. And the Assassin's Creed franchise is one of those things. Now, just to get into it, before we get too deep into it, because I have receipts to pull for some niggas.
He said, "I'm ready."
James, I'm assuming, James, you said you just saw the trailer, the cinematic trailer for the game.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on it from what you've seen so far?
But even before the camera was rolling and we started this, like I said, I'm an AC fan. I played all of them, but the trailer for this looks great. To see the brother in the center stage, and then you have the secondary character that you have the option to play as, I'm hyped. I told you pre-order finna go up immediately. They about to get it from me.
Yeah, I'm usually the type to try not to pre-order games before I see gameplay. I think the only other game I've done that for is like Spider-Man 2, but it's because I already played the first one and I wanted to pre-order that.
Right.
But I already know how I feel about most Assassin's Creed games. I know how I feel about the base level combat and stealth mechanics. So I'm like, okay, I'll play that. I'm interested in the story because I've been waiting on a Assassin's Creed Japan based game for almost a decade. I think since Brotherhood, because I'm a ninja. Me like most people enjoy Shinobi, enjoy ninjas, all that good stuff. So once I found out we were getting not only a Japanese based game where one of the main protagonists is a Shinobi, but you're also adding in a representation in regards to Yasuke, the first. Some people say the first. I gotta look to see how historically accurate it is about him being the first, but at least the most notable black samurai from the feudal era of that time period. Now, go ahead. So what you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, and to be honest, to see that and understand, hey, we want representation in games, right? I think, at some point earlier in my Discord, they were talking about how one of the main storytellers or writers for the game said, hey, we have enough white men that are primary characters. There's room for other people. And to see that as Yasuke, one of the most known swordsmen of color, and him being black, yeah. And I told you he not rocking the Killmonger. Yeah, they about to get this money off me, bro. They get
so for before we get too deep into it, there's been a lot of controversy around it. And personally, me being a black man in America that is invested into nerdy topics like comic books and anime and whatnot, yes, I'm used to and understand how a lot of particular types of white people are going to react when there's black people featured in stuff. We kind of know what to expect from them. The thing that always kind of irritates me is when you have black people that spew rhetoric and aren't 100% accurate. They give out pieces of information and then frame a narrative and a perspective to make it seem like something a certain way. So that being said, I have a particular brother here that had some things to say about this game from Twitter that I found.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I didn't know there was no sound. Hold on, I gotta reshare it. My bad. You just told me there was no sound. I could start everything back over.
Yeah. I just realized I had to check the other audio line.
Nah, bet. I got you. We're running back real quick.
So we got our first look at the new Assassin's Creed game, and I gotta say, man, I am not impressed. I'm actually just really annoyed right now. We have two main protagonists, one female, one male, just like Odyssey. We're gonna be using Neo. I hope I said that right. A female Japanese character. And for the male character, they're gonna be using Yasuke. Now, I'm annoyed because they're using Yasuke, and I'm gonna tell you why. Yasuke is what they want to say is the first black Japanese samurai, when in all actuality, he was not even a samurai. He was a retainer. So
What's
he
a
wasn't
retainer,
even
bro?
a full-blown samurai.
We gonna
And
get
from
into it.
all of the characters they could have used for Japan, all these kind of different people they could have picked from, they picked Yasuke. Why do they pick Yasuke? Because he's black. So in context, that doesn't matter to me. Because in all the Assassin's Creed games, every single character has been of some kind of different race and nationality. So that doesn't matter to me. That's fine. But you have to understand what day and age we're in. You have to understand the kind of social shit that they want to try to get across.
Right.
Instead of using a Japanese man in a game based in Japan, like they did with the other Assassin's Creed games, Altair, he was an Arab, obviously. One of my favorites, Connor.
Any nigga that says Arab
Listen,
already.
bro, I said I understand that. I don't be pronouncing stuff right, but you're not gonna get on the internet and be like Arab.
Arab is insane.
Also, is it the woman Japanese?
Yes. The other main character, which I think will have we'll probably spend more time on her than anything else. She is 100% Japanese and is from one of the most notable Japanese villages that were historically known for producing shinobi.
Oh my gosh.
So, so to get into it, because a lot of things were said in that little clip, and a lot of those points are points that have been regurgitated throughout Twitter and the internet that I've seen, and I haven't even checked YouTube yet because I know that shit's toxic. I want to tackle some of these things, and the thing that that annoys me the most when it comes to this stuff is that when people say things like he's a retainer, you don't understand what that is, and you don't provide any context, or you don't cite any of your sources of where you get information from. Me, being a college graduate, will flex that a little bit. I understand how to go find articles that are somewhat credible and how to cite those sources. So first and foremost, I'm going to bring up an article here that is a article that a professor, Thal, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. She's from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. She was breaking down a book that was written by Konstantin Namikos Vaporis. I'm assuming he's of some French descent or some European descent, at the University of Hawaii. So his book is essentially over samurai military service in Edo in Japan and kind of the roles that they played within the military. And just to provide some kind of context of who he is and why he's somewhat credible, he himself is the professor and teaches Japanese history at the University of Maryland in Baltimore. So again, he has a doctorate degree to teach this. He has certifications to teach this. He at some point he at least knows what he's talking about a little bit to some extent. Again, I haven't dug down to check all his credentials, but we have people with some sort of resume that are talking about things that I feel like they have some kind of understanding of what they're discussing. And in this little article in which he was breaking down, she pointed out a part in which they discuss the roles that retainers play within Japanese society. And one is a little quote here where it says, he demonstrates that although some retainers are specifically selected by their lord in duty, many of the travelers seem to have gone voluntarily. So, meaning that Oda Nobunaga, because for people that aren't aware, Yasuke was put in service and intrigued the thoughts of Oda Nobunaga, who was known as the Great Unifier of Japan, who he essentially, again, just brought all of Japan all under one banner through war or whatever else. And Yasuke was around. I think he was a Portuguese slave and was brought to the island, and everybody was talking about this 6-foot black man that was walking around that nobody had ever seen before. Nobody had ever seen Negroes before. Right. He was like, hey, bring that individual to me because I want to see what all the chatter's about. And because they thought that he was covered in ink and it was like just a gimmick that I guess he was doing, or he was just wearing ink to color his skin, he had them strip him naked. He had him strip him naked and bathe himself to see if he could get the ink to come off. And once it did, he was like, okay, cool. You're an interesting individual and I admire you for your stature and your strength. At some point down the line, they decided to bring him under his service as a retainer. And again, if you're not aware of retainers essentially are samurai, and they operate very similarly to how samurai operate. Because at the end of the day, samurais are part of the military. They are soldiers in a military and work underneath their shoguns and their feudal lords. To do some were a little evil and kind of just restricted people and took shit from the villagers and whatnot, which has led to the creation of shinobi in general. Shinobi were farmers who created weapons to fight back against samurai because they were just impoverished. They were being impoverished and whatnot. But in this scenario, Oda Nobunaga brought Yasuke in to work with him, and he had him utilized as a retainer. And The only ways to become a retainer are to either A, be picked by the shogun who you serve, or two, to be a person that volunteers to be a part of the military. So people would volunteer to be retainers so they could get some kind of boost in economic standing. So again, if you're 18 in America, you're poor, and you see the army offering you a Hellcat or a Charger, hey, let me go sign up real quick and get this Dodge Challenger real quick.
Don't disrespect my branches like that, bro. Tell them about their Jordans that they about to get also when they sign up. Don't do that.
So it's the same shit. So for people that don't understand what that is, that's what a retainer is. That's the kind of service that Yasuke served underneath, and he has a lot of credibility to be a samurai. He has as much credibility to be a samurai as the other people. The only other way to become a samurai, if you weren't chosen or voluntarily signed up, was to be a part of a family that were along a line of samurai. So you were kind of well off already. You had money, you had status. Because samurai in general have status because of their military service. Now, to get into some of the details of the game, because him being a retainer and not being actual samurai was one thing that I heard being discussed a lot online and through Twitter. But the second thing I heard was people discussing how it's not accurate because he would be breaking Bushido code and the samurai code by being an assassin. So for one, Assassin's Creed tells you at the beginning of every game, all these events are based on historical events and are not 100% retellings of what happened. So even if he was an assassin that was going around stabbing niggas with katanas, it would be wholly accurate because it's an Assassin's Creed game, and we can't now choose to be mad about historical accuracy when you had Leonardo da Vinci making handguns and flying and flying machines for assassinations. You can't now feel some type of way about that.
Absolutely. Based on the lore platform that they provide you in the game, it is inspired by history, but not historically accurate. Like, everyone that plays an AC game should know that.
And it's just interesting that now is the time that people have got a conversation about it. Because I've been told now I've never seen anybody have any kind of anger about that. But into the last point I want to bring up, because again, you talked about him following the code. The Ubisoft team in YouTube videos that you can go find, as well as this article here, discuss how Naoe and Yasuke will play very, very differently. Yasuke will be a shinobi who uses stealth and parkour like a traditional assassin. I think even a cool thing that I've heard about the game is that they're going to utilize shadows and darkness in this game as far as stealth goes as well. So you're not just going to be hiding in hay bales and grass and whatnot. You're going to actually be utilizing the shadows to kind of stay hidden throughout the game. And they're also going to have moments of throughout the year, the seasons are going to change. So different places you would normally hide are going to change depending on the season, because the grass may die in the fall, spring grass will be tall. And samurai will go. So I'm hearing a lot of improvements in the AI and how the dev team put a lot more effort into making sure the game would be a little more deeper in regards to the mechanics. And getting into the actual stuff when it comes to the actual lore of the game, so people that aren't aware, they've also announced that the reason these two characters will be working together is that Oda Nobunaga is essentially utilizing Naoe and the assassins and his samurai to help unify Japan. So this is somewhat historically accurate. So we know for a matter of the fact that these two characters will not play the same. So we know that Yasuke is still going to be performing actions as an actual samurai and playing in heavy armor, heavy swordsmanship, and will not be sneaking around. I don't. People just don't, either they're misinformed or they're just saying stuff for the clicks and the views and whatnot. And normally I wouldn't care. But because this is a franchise I care a lot about and an historical figure that I've always thought was cool growing up, I'm like, okay, we got to provide proper context and actual evidence of what's going on here.
But I think in today's media, right, like how people consume things and how they're expected to receive them, most people just go to Twitter or TikTok instead of knowing things on their own, researching them and looking them up. I don't know. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm hoping that he plays as a true assassin. I mean, as a true samurai, and that, you know, now does get to be an assassin. So you have both senses of duality in gameplay.
Really quickly, so just a comment. If she is a lesbian, that's perfectly fine with me. I don't care. Gay people have been around since the beginning of history, my guy. So that'd probably be one of the more historically accurate things they'd have in the game. Right. People have been gay for a long time. If you played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you saw people in Rome doing some freaky shit at a lot of those parties in masks. So let's not make that a whole thing.
Odyssey, old girl, that was a Spartan, ran up on another girl in the story, and you know, it was a side quest where she was like, "Hey, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. What's up?"
Spartans were really gay in general.
Yeah,
like part of Spartan, like the whole idea of Spartans is them wanting to be gay so that you would have a higher incentive to protect your brother to the right of you. Like that, all that shield combat, you're only as strong as the brother next to you. A lot of them Spartans were extremely gay. 300, them dudes was smashing. Them dudes was BGs.
He said they was 150 couples, bro. What is you talking about?
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all the drama aside, because I've gone through my little rant on the drama. I'm over it now. I've gotten all that out of me. I want to discuss the game itself a little bit and what to be excited about as far as the gameplay goes. Like I said before, I just mentioned how they're going to be implementing shadows as a mechanic to be used for stealth. This is the first time that I've seen this used in an Assassin's Creed game, and I was wondering what mechanics they were going to implement into the game to kind of just add on to the already solid mechanics they have.
I think if you are specifically saying that you are going to be able to play as a ninja versus a samurai, the reality is that your parkour system for that samurai got to be even tighter, because ninjas got to be even tighter, because ninjas aren't known to lack fluidity, to lack indecisiveness, and you don't want that captured in your movements as you're trying to get in position to stealth kill someone. I think the samurai take also is going to be really interesting. Seeing this and knowing that she's going to be a ninja really makes me think about Tenchu a lot, right? Like I would hope that she has abilities that would be more modernized, but still take place in kind of that Tenchu environment where, hey, you know, play on shadows, play on smoke bombs, play on height advantage, which we know Assassin's Creed is good for. I'm also curious, like, will the characters have two separate, like, spec trees, or will they be one spec tree for talents? Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. Or will it be like the previous Assassin's Creed game that they just released, where there are no stats tied to armor, and they went back to just that reset old slow type of play style? Or is it going to be more like Valhalla, where you have the ability to min-max and spec and, you know, do things of that nature? So incredibly curious.
Yeah, I assume they had two separate spec trees. Another thing that I also noticed in the cinematic trailer, and I'll bring it up real quick just to show, that I found very interesting. It was something very quick that a lot of people may not care about as much, but I think it can lead to something, a very interesting mechanic, is that in this little encounter here, you see her do this where the hidden blade comes out traditionally, but then she like curves it to hold it like an actual like kunai or a dagger. So I'm assuming that's going to go into like a lot of her combat. And to your point, shinobi are known for fluidity and stealth. So I'm assuming her combat is going to be slick and is going to involve a lot more evasions versus straight up counters. Like I assume Yasuke's combat will be more counter style or just taking through stuff, and hers going to be not getting hit. So I think that'd also be cool in regards to just how different they'll play. Yeah. Also, one thing I want to get into it too, I want to make sure that they make you play both these characters. I feel like there's no point in having two separate main protagonists if you don't even really need to use one.
I think in that regards, I think it'd be really beneficial if they took a page out of Spider-Man 2's like playbook, how you were required to play as Peter Parker and Miles Morales, but had two separate skill trees, but then had one overarching skill tree. So I think that would kind of be fire. And the fact that she has the hidden blade already speaks to her affiliation with the assassins, you know. Yeah, I'm excited. I look forward to it.
To get into some of the storytelling too, I want to address this comment as well about Yasuke being able to tell the story as an outsider. I think that's going to be another interesting thing, is that the big thing about these Assassin's Creed games is that the open worlds are incredibly rich with the culture of that time period through art or how people act in general. So having a person who is an outsider to this land explore it and explore how people operate and how the culture communicates with one another, I think it's going to be dope to have him be a vehicle for a lot of us, for people that aren't familiar with that time period. Now, some of us may be more experienced than others because we've played a lot of games like Ghost of Tsushima or Tsushima and other games based in that time period, but a lot of people may not. And I may learn something new myself. because usually Assassin's Creed is pretty good about instilling not articles, but like journal entries or codex entries where they tell you like the actual history of certain historical locations or people and whatnot, and then like how they tie into their fictional narrative as well. So
yes,
again, they have a lot of great pieces to make this an amazing game, and you already have the Assassin's Creed nostalgia to lean back onto. So all you have to do is again bring what people like in regards to some of the music, maybe some of the basic gameplay, and then just add on some sweet touches here and there to make that thing dope. Another thing is maybe a far-fetched thing to get. Fans have been asking for since we saw this feature in Brotherhood is a multiplayer, like a big game of adult hide and go seek. If we get this in this game, I will be on this game streaming this shit 24/7.
How would you feel if they added a co-op where you could play with your homie and one of y'all be the samurai and one of y'all be the ninja? Like, would you?
I love that. I thought they kind of added something like that similar with Ghost of Tsushima.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was dope. Again, it was like a horde mode and well, some stealth here and there. But if you could, matter of fact, even better than that, they already did it with Assassin's Creed Unity. That was like, if that game actually worked at launch, that game would probably be one of the better known Assassin's Creed games or games in general. Because the way that co-op worked, and the idea of like you being an assassin with your homeboys and coordinating stealth takedowns and utilizing gadgets, and then a parkour smooth, that was beautiful. If we could get the parkour from Assassin's Creed Unity and how fluid that was, and get a co-op mode, oh my god,
yes.
And that's the thing with Ubisoft, like you've already done things that are great within. It's interesting because they'll do a great thing in one game and then not bring it over to the next game and find something new that's dope in that game and then not bring that one over. If you can just go back to your catalogs and bring the fluidity of Unity as far as parkour goes and bring in some of the co-op and gameplay mechanics of that, you bring in some of the world building you did with like Origins, because they made Egypt look like an amazing place and very vibrant. If you can do all that shit and tie it together and wrap a bow around it, this game is going to be amazing.
I think that this is definitely like, I think they'll do great with the samurai. I don't know why. I just think, hey man, they've had the parry system playing a lot of Valhalla, how they've used those weapons. They have those variety of weapons in there. I feel like they'll do great with the samurai. I think the real issue is going to be if they aren't able to bring in the parkour fluidity to make the legitimate ninja assassin work. Like I think that'll be a turnoff on the game for a lot of people.
Part of my concern as well will be the actual playground that you get to traverse, because most of these cities in Assassin's Creed have been like really upscaled to like London has buildings upon buildings, France, Italia, Florence, all those different places. We're in this era of Japan. Again, I'm not familiar.
Was one level, my boy. That joint.
I mean, granted, this could be an era where it's more developed, or you're in certain areas that's more developed, and you have somewhat of a cityscape to some extent. But I'm not sure in particular. And I've also heard that they're getting rid of like the eagle thing of like they've had in the last couple games in Valhalla and Origins, where you had the eagle for the overhead shot of what's going on. Right. So that's scrapped now, as far as the stealth aspect. So,
or just in particular, like
in this one, at least I don't know about going forward. I know in this one it's scrapped. Because I do know as well that going forward, they made it a big point too for future Assassin's Creed games to have each game kind of be different. Because there are some fans that enjoy the old school Ezio Altair era of Assassin's Creed, where it didn't have the RPG elements and didn't have all that kind of combat.
Yeah.
So if you played the most recent one with Boston, what was that one called? Mirage. They have they have ones that are more similar to that, and then they're also going to have ones that will be more similar to Origins and Odyssey, where it's more RPG based. Because they've been splitting their teams up into different sects to work on these different titles.
And to your point previously saying, hey man, they would come out with something that was pure heat and then they would move on to something else. I think that speaks to the different development cycles of both teams, right? Like Mirage and Valhalla are two distinctly different games. I remember streaming Lies of P and then going to play Mirage, and I'm like, I can't play this. And it's not because it was a bad game, but just because it was so much of a bow or ode to OG Assassin's Creed that was very slow and more so focused on stealth killing.
Right. Which is cool. Again, I enjoy stealth in those games, but I'm like, you gotta give me the option for both. And that's the other thing I'm kind of concerned about with Naoe's gameplay.
Yeah.
Is it seems like they're going to double down on stealth, which is great. She should. She's an assassin. But I do also want to have the combat be really dope and fluid as well, which we may get, because from the cinematic trailer, it seemed like that'll be that. But again, it's a cinematic trailer. We're not 100% sure yet.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is guessing and wishful thinking right now until we see gameplay, hopefully, relatively soon. But I have high hopes now. Is it realistic to think that this game is going to be great? I don't know, because they've been putting out a lot of... I don't think they put out anything terrible outside of Mirage. I haven't played Mirage, so I can't...
I don't think Mirage is terrible. It just does not hit for what a modern day... Like, you wouldn't say, hey, let me drop an Odyssey. Let me drop an Origin. Let me drop a Valhalla. And then say, oh, all of those hit really well, and I build on that system. Let me take you all the way back to the beginning. So I'm not going to say it's bad, but the fact that I think the timing for it was missed, right? You should have made that game 5 years ago or 6 years ago and then lived in the system that you're in now.
I mean, they already fucked up too by making, because initially that game was supposed to be DLC for Valhalla,
but that's
for the character. Yeah. I'm like, you already in general, you're fucking up by just not releasing that DLC. Like trying to make this an entirely brand new game and drop. I'm like, that's part of it. That's the main reason why I didn't really buy it. I'm like, it's a short game. I'll wait for it to be on a discount and I'll go play it at some point then, because I know it's not a long game.
Real joint. I paid $8, got Ubisoft, played the game for 2 days, said, yo, this is not it. Canceled my sub.
I may do that. We're going to see. Oh, man. And then I'm also hoping there's another thing that I haven't liked of recent, at least for Valhalla. I can't speak to Odyssey 2, where the overabundance of side quests.
Yo,
I'm the type to do it to where I love to go into the game and knock out all the side quests and get OD strong and then just wipe out the main story.
Yeah.
But when you give me 15 million side quests that are essentially just me going from point A to point B, killing something, like also make the quest cycle somewhat dynamic. I understand you can't have like a brand new type of mission for every side quest, but at least make the cycle like interesting and being repeatable. So I'm not just...
Hey, look, I'm gonna keep it a buck. They called me in the stream side quest shorty. I was out there side questing. They said, hey, bro, you can get Odin's spear. I'm about to do every quest to get Odin's spear. Oh, you can get Thor's armor. I was out there getting Thor's armor, bro. It was ridiculous, man. I ain't ever in an Assassin's Creed game finished that breakdown when they be like, hey, this is the organization. Go find all these dudes. I was out there, man. DLCs, side questing. I think the reason that I was able to do it, and this is the point that I'm making, is that they did a really good job with the fast travel system in the game. So it wasn't like, if it was like, hey, go kill 4 of these dudes and then drop this off over here, it wasn't a very difficult thing for me to do, because I enjoyed the play mechanic and being able to spec my person out, poison and fire, and then fast travel back to where I wanted to go. But that Mirage joint was not like that, my boy. It was not like that. And you could not fight more than one person at a time without being at a disadvantage, because how they rebuilt the combat system of it being more stealth oriented and being a slower paced game. So
ain't it, G? Valhalla grew on me too, because initially I was like, bro, Vikings and Assassins, like that seems like the exact opposite of one another. Yeah. And bro, there are some things in the game I enjoy. Like I once I got over the aspect of it not being like a pure Assassin's Creed game. Yeah. Like the whole idea of like the Viking raids, like when you would go along the rivers and those side missions or whatever else and find compounds, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun because you're building it up. And that goes into the next thing that I'm really hoping for this game, is to have somewhat resemblance of a model of the Brotherhood building you saw in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Now, you wanted to be specced out more, but I love the idea of like, if you're a grand assassin, you're calling in assassinations on people, or you're performing a raid by building up your Brotherhood. Absolutely. And the thing I'm really more excited about is because I know that in the lore of this particular story, the village that Naoe is from historically is known for producing shinobi. In regular history, they were known for producing shinobi. So I'm like, cool, is she about to be in this like shinobi assassins, like a Brotherhood compound where you have access to all these different assassins and you can plan out, I'm hoping for that. And on the same side with Yasuke and him having his legion of samurais that he can command. I'm like, will we be able to have like some kind of a raid system on both of these where we can do that?
Yeah, I think again, coming from Valhalla, which would be the successor to this, I mean the previous version of this game, I think that there are some strong mechanics that they have to bring over. Being able to cultivate like the samurais and the shinobis, and then going forward and raiding, that would be tough. Like, I just couldn't imagine being like, dang man, I'm out here with a group of ninjas, let's go fuck some dudes up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that look like? Like, you just see a bunch of smoke bombs go off and kunais everywhere, and like.
Well, if you remember in Brotherhood, that's how it would happen. Like, you could be standing in the middle of the road, and you would hit the L2 button and use an assassination button, and you would just see arrows flying in, smoke bombs flying, or people just flying off of wherever it stabs somebody. Right. Again, it was really kind of too easy, but I thought it was just so cool to me that I could like be walking up to a group of platoon soldiers and just throw that hand up real quick, like, "Hey yo!" and see niggas just flood in and just assassinate. It was just so satisfying to me. And just having some sort of variation that I think would be cool, but I digress.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not gonna hold you too much longer. I know I meant for this to be a little quick stream and quick video. Again, I had to talk about this. Normally I wouldn't care, but this is a game that I'm really excited about, a franchise that I care a lot about, and I just don't like when people lie and spread misinformation. And again, if people watching this video after the fact, if you believe I'm wrong about anything that I shared as far as my citations of articles and whatnot, please do your best and prove me wrong. Because if I'm wrong, I'm not against saying that I was wrong, but I need you to come with citations and actual evidence, and not just a narrative of you just saying something. Show me where you learned that information. Show me where you got that information so that I can be like, okay, I was wrong. Cool, but I digress.
Yeah.
James, before you take off, do you want to tell the people where they can find you at and anything you're working on currently?
Beautiful people. My name's James the Blurred. You can find me. I stream now on Twitch. We went back to our home, and I make videos on YouTube covering gaming industries or just things like this that I'm passionate about. All the same, James the Blurred on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, all of that. It's been a pleasure to be here, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're gonna get some more stuff done in the future.
Absolutely.
And as far as my stuff goes, people, we're gonna be kind of slow for this next week as far as content goes. I'm planning out to do some content for MomoCon in a week or two. I will have my good friend Dr. K Knight coming into the city to come visit your boy. So we're gonna get some IRL content done. That'll be my first time kind of playing around with IRL content. So you'll see some dope videos. I have a really dope video planned with her, and if I can figure out my setup, I'll try to get some vlog stuff done for MomoCon as well, and try to get some vlogging and whatnot done for some of the contests, some of the events and whatnot there. And yeah, you guys will have some good stuff coming up soon. So anyone that is subscribed to the channel, because I've got a lot of subs very recently and a lot of support from and kind words and people in comments and videos, that I am so forever thankful for that support. And I hope for your future support going forward, any of my future content creation endeavors, because this is just a creative outlet for me and I enjoy doing it, man. And the more people I can provide entertainment to, the better. But yeah, this has been Captain Diesel, James the Blurred, and this has been Captain Diesel's Dojo, and I will see you guys later. Peace.
You're now watching the Captain.